So here we are with our next lecture in the series of geography for UPSC. Dear friends, we have already discussed volcanic eruptions, volcanic types, and so now we will see what causes these volcanoes and why volcanic eruptions occur over plate boundaries. And so we'll see what are plate boundaries and where and why these volcanoes are located on these plate boundaries. So before we do that, I'll just introduce what I'm going to discuss. I'm going to discuss some tectonic theories over here, though I'm not going to discuss them in detail. They will just have a passing reference. I will discuss plate tectonic theory. I will discuss what are plate boundaries. Then there are some types of plate boundaries, active plate boundaries, distribution of volcanoes and earthquakes, and then we will discuss some sample questions or some practice questions for you, so that you get an idea what is asked in the examination. So let's start, and here goes. We start with tectonic theory. So how did all this start? So why did we feel, why the need for studying the earthquakes and volcanoes was felt? It was because we didn't have an understanding of what was going on inside the earth. And the volcanoes and earthquakes were causing a lot of disruption. So the human wanted to study if we could reduce the effect of these disasters that we are facing. So why do earthquakes occur over only in certain areas, and why volcanic eruptions occur in certain areas? So these were the questions that harassed man, and therefore we started looking after some theories. So some tectonic theories are those theories which explain why the earthquakes occur or volcanic eruptions occur. So these are known as tectonic theories. So there were some earlier theories, and this attempt has been made since 1800 centuries. 1800, that is the 19th century, beginning of the 19th century. So there were some earlier theories like contraction of the earth due to cooling. So it could explain that the earth cools after contraction, and therefore there are some compressional features on the earth's surface like the mountain belts and the fold mountain. But they could not explain why there are rift valleys or ocean basins. So some theories could explain a few things, and the others couldn't explain other things. On the other hand, there was another theory which is called as the expansion of the earth due to heating. Now, this was suggested after radioactivity was discovered. So, the improvement in the science and various elements that we were discovering also led us to know about the interior of the earth. And we could now say that the earth is expanding due to heat that is it has inside the earth. So, but again, this theory was not enough because it could explain why the continents were breaking up or moving, but it couldn't explain the extensional features, that is the compressional features like mountains, fold mountains, via fold mountains form. It couldn't explain. So somewhere or the other, the theories were proving to be insufficient in the earlier 19th centuries. Then came the Wegener's theory of continental drift. Now, this topic itself is a very big topic which can be discussed in detail, but we will just have a passing reference right now. It's a very a pioneer theory because it changed the way man was thinking about Earth, man was thinking about the interior of the Earth, and when he said that the continents were drifting, actually the scholars then opposed this theory, and they couldn't believe that it was the continents were moving, because we didn't feel that the continents are moving, because we feel that we are stationary. So why did Wegener, a scientist, a climatologist he was, so why did he feel that the continents were drifting? Because he saw the fitting of each other of continents of North America, South America, and Africa and Europe. So he saw that those four continents could actually fit into each other, and therefore he proposed this theory that continents were drifting apart. But again, there were some problems with his theory also, because he couldn't explain everything, and he did not explain why ocean floor was spreading. So he could explain that continents were spreading or drifting apart and they were moving, but he couldn't explain why ocean basins were drifting or were expanding actually, and why it couldn't have enough strength to hold the continents and all these things. So he was not able to explain everything in the theory. So again, but still, Wegener's theory is one of the pioneering theories in geography and in geology, and it holds a lot of importance. Then later on in 1950s, the continental drift, the Wegener's theory of continental drift was given in 1915. And in 1950s, now this was again a period after the World War II, and a lot of studies were also done because people wanted to use the underground, undersea water also for submarines and all. So this was the period of discoveries and inventions. And therefore, after the World War II, again, this concept of earth expansion was studied, and then again another some theories also came up. By this time, paleomagnetism, that is the earth's magnetic attraction, or the magnetism that is there in the earth because of the iron in the interior of the earth, was also studied. So these lot of theories came up. These are all called tectonic theories. So this is how continental drift theory was explained by Wegener. So there was a Pangaea, and then this drifted apart into Laurasia and Gondwana some 150 million years ago. Then again this 150 million years ago, and 100 million years ago, the continents took the shape of what we have today. So this is a continuous process, he said. So, but he couldn't explain other things, so the theory was discarded. But again, with the help of this basic theory that was given, some other tectonic theories were also forwarded, like proposed, like seafloor spreading. Now this was again a very important theory because it talked about seafloor for the first time. So people were now focusing on the seafloor instead of the continental floor. So the topographic studies now led to the discovery of two things in the ocean, that is oceanic ridge and oceanic trenches. So the scientists found, and scientists, or I would say military people, because they were all involved in the wars, so they found that there are two things in under the sea, inside the sea, on the sea floor. You will find that there are ridges. So they are like flat mountains. They are mountains. They are not very tall. Some of them are tall, but they are not very tall. And they are known as ridges. So they are very long ridges, and they occupy the middle of the oceans. So even today, if you look at a bathymetric map of Atlantic Ocean, you will find that there is a mid-Atlantic ridge. It is known as the ridge. So it is a long chain of mountains. Then there are oceanic trenches also. So even on the ocean floor, you will find that there are holes, very deep holes on the floor, which go again deep into the that run deep into the kilometers. So and they are along the margins of the continents, and they are particularly surrounding the Pacific Ocean. So these were some of the important observations that were made, and with the help of that, a seafloor spreading theory was proposed, in which they said that the seafloor is also spreading. So not just the continents, but the seafloor is also spreading. Now again, this theory was also not able to explain very much about everything. Now because we wanted a theory which could explain the moving of the continent and could explain the moving of the seafloor, so could also help us to know about why volcanoes occur in certain areas, volcanic eruptions occur in certain areas, why some volcanoes are active while others are dormant or have become extinct, why earthquakes occur along areas like Japan, why most of them occur over there and not the other areas. So there were some questions, these questions which were harassing man and were troubling him. So again, a theory was needed which could explain this phenomena. Now came the most important theory which could actually explain this, and that was the plate tectonic theory. So this plate tectonic theory was telling about plates. What are plates? It was said that the plates are sheets of crust. So we have interior of the earth, we've already studied. We have a crust below the earth's surface. So this crust is made up of sheets of material, lava material or rock material, which is into semi-molten kind of liquid form, and it is moving. So it is moving in different rates. It is not always moving, and it is not uniformly moving. It is moving at different rates. But there are these plates which run below the earth's crust, and they cover the continents as well as the oceans. So they are oceanic crust and continental crust. We've already studied that. So plates are also oceanic plates and continental plates. So they are composed of lithosphere, and they are like around 100 kilometers thick, and they float. So they don't kind of move exactly or run or walk, but they float. So they are sheets. So you can understand them as sheets which are below the earth's surface. And when these plates move, earthquakes may be caused. So this was what was proposed. So these are the plates. And while the continents, they appear to drift, They do so because they are part of larger plates that float and move horizontally on the upper mantle asthenosphere. So we have studied about the asthenosphere and lithosphere. So these are plates. So now you must understand what is a plate, and then the plates, they are like bodies which are hundreds kilometers thick and move for kilometers, and they are floating, and that floating causes earthquakes and volcanic eruptions in some areas. Now, what are those some areas? We will see as we go ahead. So these some areas are basically boundaries. Okay, what I mean is that these plates are there, but they have boundaries. So somewhere one plate will end up and another plate will start. So there is going to be a boundary. So this plate is going to be different from that plate, and there is going to be a boundary. Most of the earthquakes occur in these boundaries. So they are the plate boundaries, and there are some 7 to 8 major plates, and there are many minor plates. Different books and different authors have different names for these plates. So there are now they understand that there are 7 major plates, but there are some who will say that there are 11 minor plates. There are some books which will say 14 minor plates. So that is not important. Important is that you understand why some of they are major and why some of them are minor, and what work that they do, how do they affect the earthquakes and volcanoes. This is more important to understand. So varying between 0 to 100 millimeters per year, these movements in the plate is actually why do these plates move? They move because of the convection currents of heat. So there is heat inside the earth, and this makes the currents move. So they move, and when this currents move, the plate also moves. So there is constant movement in these plates, and sometimes it may be more and sometimes it may be less. We have already studied in the earlier lecture that earthquakes are there almost daily. We have an earthquake somewhere or the other, and some 8,000 earthquakes are recorded every year, which are less than 2 on Richter scale. 2 Richter. So it means that there is always movement, but we don't feel it because it is not very heavy movement or very large movement which may cause destruction or a magnet or an earthquake of higher magnitude. So it's very less. So these plate boundaries are the edges of these where 2 plates meet. So any 2 plates where they are meeting will be the plate boundary, and that is the point that you have to understand, that all earthquakes and volcanic eruptions will occur where there are plate boundaries, but there are different types of plate boundaries. We will come to that later on. So earthquakes, volcanic activity, mountain building, and oceanic trenches, they are all occurring along the plate boundaries. They are all interplate, not intraplate. Intraplate means within the plate, within the same plate, and interplate means interplate movement, means one plate and the other plate, their movement. We are talking of 2 plate movements. Intraplate means we are talking only within the plate. So you must remember these words. Now, types of plate boundaries. This is very important. There are 3 types of plate boundaries: divergent, convergent, and transform. So how do you remember this? You remember it by remembering CD and DC. So C means convergent plate boundaries, and D means destruction, and D here means divergent plate boundaries, and C means construction. Please remember here. We'll just right now concentrate on 2 types of plate boundaries. We'll not concentrate on transform. I will explain it a little later, but we'll just remember divergent and convergent. So convergent means they are converging together, means they are coming towards each other. Okay, so when they are coming towards each other, there will be destruction, because if 2 things meet, if they have an accident, there is destruction. Even if 2 vehicles they converge together, if they meet together, there is an accident. If they dash against each other, there is a possibility of destruction. The vehicles can get destroyed. There can be death of the people who are driving in it. So you can remember it like that. So convergent plate boundaries means there is destruction, C, D. And divergent plate boundaries means that the plate boundaries are not moving towards each other, but they are moving away from each other. So they are moving in the opposite direction. One is moving in the left and the other is moving towards the right. Okay, so they are known as divergent plate boundaries. In that case, there is construction, because when one plate moves away from from the other one, there is a gap in between, and from that gap new material will come out. So in geography, when new material comes out, we call it construction. So there is construction that is going on. So when there are divergent plate boundaries, there will be construction. It means new material will come out from the Earth's crust. So there will be volcanic eruption, or maybe some material will just come out from a fissure. Okay, so this is known as a construction. So there is construction, there will be earthquake, there might be destruction also, some people may die also. But why do we call it construction? Because new material has come up, so it has led to construction in the earth's surface. So that's why we call it construction. So please remember over here, CD and DC. Convergent plate boundaries are destructive and divergent plate boundaries are constructive. So I hope you remember this. Transform plate boundaries we'll discuss when we discuss all the plate boundaries a little later. See here, you can see this diagram over here. So this is a convergent plate boundary over here. What is this about? Convergent means that they are moving towards each other. So this is a convergent plate boundary. Sorry. Yeah, so this is a convergent plate boundary. This is a divergent plate boundary. This is a divergent plate boundary. And this is a transform plate boundary. Okay, now I'll just show you the diagrams over here. Convergent, the rightmost diagram is the convergent. They are moving towards each other. The middle one is the divergent, where they are moving away from each other, just in the opposite directions. They don't want to see each other's face. They are divergent. And the last one on the left hand side is the transform plate boundary, where they are running parallel to each other. So they are not going to meet, or they are not running away from each other, but they are running parallel to each other. So there will be a vertical movement and not a horizontal movement. Okay, so let's see what happens when such types of plate boundaries are there. So a divergent plate boundary occurs when two tectonic plates move away from each other. Okay, so here when divergent they will move away from each other, earthquake can occur because there is movement, and some magma may rise from the earth's mantle to the surface. As I said, it will create a new thing. So there will be creation, and therefore it is called constructive. So though it is divergent, it is called constructive plate boundary, and it creates new oceanic crusts. When two plates come together, that is, they meet each other, they move towards each other, they may crash towards each other, then the impact of the colliding plates can cause the edges of one or both the plates to buckle up into a mountain range, or one of the plates may bend down into a deep seafloor trench. So either they will buckle up, they will fold and form a fold mountain, or one of them can go below each other, and then it can cause a trench, yeah, a hole, a big hole, a big well type thing in the sea floor. A chain of volcanoes often forms parallel to convergent plate boundaries, and powerful earthquakes are common along such boundaries. So where there is convergence, there will be destruction, please remember always, and therefore very strong earthquakes occur at such type of plate boundaries, more than the divergent plate boundaries. Okay, and oceanic crust is often forced down into the mantle, where it begins to melt. Magma rises into and through the other plate, solidifying into granite, and makes up the continent. So this is basically a continent building boundary. So continental crust is created and oceanic crust is destroyed. Okay, and then the third one is the transform plate boundary, and they are almost parallel to each other, and of course there will be earthquakes also along these faults also. And but what is different about transform plate boundary than the convergent and the divergent boundaries? That the crust is cracked and broken at the transform boundaries, but it is not created or destroyed. So neither it is destroyed, neither it is created. So new thing is formed, and no old thing gets destroyed. It is just there, it just cracks, and therefore cracking also can produce energy and can lead to earthquakes. Okay, now let's look at all these three plate boundaries and their work and their effect and their distribution on the earth's surface in detail. So convergent plate boundaries, now two types of plates are meeting each other in convergent plate boundaries, right? So what type of plates can be there? One can be oceanic and the other can be oceanic crust. So it means that both the plates are under the ocean, in the oceanic crust. It can happen that one is ocean and the other is continent, and it can happen that both of them are continental crusts. So both of them are continental plates, both of them are oceanic plates, and one of them is continental and one of them is oceanic. So these are the three possibilities that can happen if there are convergent boundaries, right? If two plates are colliding, if they are meeting each other. So where ocean is meeting the ocean, what will happen? Trenches will occur, okay? And zones of active seafloor will be there. So seafloor spreading can also occur, okay? And there will be submarine volcanic eruptions. So there will be volcanoes under the sea. You will not see them above the seafloor, okay? Above the, earth's surface or the sea level. They are below the sea. When both of the continental crusts are meeting, then there will be folding, because they will buckle up, they will dash each other and they will fold. So there will be fold mountains. Himalayas have been created because of such colliding of two continental plate boundaries, and not oceanic. Okay, and one is oceanic and one is continental. In that case, which one is denser? So the oceanic plate that is denser, it gets subducted, and then you will find that if a coastline has a mountain system which is parallel to the coast, so such mountains are formed by this process. So an oceanic crust and a continental crust. So what happens is that the oceanic crust, that is the oceanic plate, is denser, so it gets subducted, and a mountain range is formed on the continent. So Andes on the South American coast are an example of this type of. So you have to remember, convergent boundaries can be three types again: ocean meeting ocean, continent meeting continent, and continent meeting ocean. So these are the three types. So here we can see an example of the convergent plate boundaries. The B diagram shows convergent plate boundaries. In divergent plate boundaries, the two plates are moving apart. They don't want to see each other's face. Yeah, the A diagram here represents two divergent plate boundaries. What happens? This can happen on land, or this can happen under the sea. So two plate boundaries can move away from each other on the land. So they can be continent moving away from each other, or they can be ocean moving away from each other. So on the land, if divergent boundaries are there, then what will happen? If they move away from each other, there will be a gap in between. So this gap is known as the rift valley. So rift valleys will be formed. On the other hand, in the sea, if active divergent plate boundaries they move away from each other, there will be gap, and new material will come up from the ocean floor, and this can lead to ridges, mid-oceanic ridges. So you will find that along the plate boundaries, active plate boundaries, there are ridges under the sea. Ridges means long mountains, flat mountains under the sea. And the third one is the transform. The sea part, you can see they are not meeting each other. They are not moving away from each other. They are moving parallel to each other. So in that case, the relative motion of the plates is quite horizontal, and they can occur underwater also and on the crust, but there is no destruction or construction. Now, in terms of destruction and construction, what I mean, the magma and not the what is on the surface. Okay, there may be destruction also in terms of human loss or property loss, but what I am talking about, construction and destruction over here, is the magma material. So because of the friction, the plates cannot simply glide past each other. It is very difficult for them to just pass parallel to each other, and there will be friction. So stress is there, and a lot of energy is again released because of the friction and the stress that is there, and again you can have earthquakes, large and strong earthquakes of higher magnitude. So this is the distribution of the earthquakes and volcanoes, and also the major plates. So the maroon arrow shows the movement. Okay, so here you can see where there is this is here the formation of Himalayas, you can see. So here you can see that the Eurasian plate is moving towards the Indian plate, right? So this is the cause of the formation of Himalayas. Then you can see the ring of fire over here. This area, whole area, is known as the ring of fire. Ring of fire. Why this is known as the ring of fire? You can see there are this Eurasian plate, and there is this Indian plate, and here you can see there is the San Andreas fault, the Pacific plate also. So they are moving, and this is their plate boundary. So this is a very active plate boundary, and there are a lot of earthquakes that occur throughout the year, And the major volcanic eruptions that occur over here are in this. So Japan is famous for its earthquakes. Philippines is famous for its volcanic eruptions. So, and Indonesia also. So these countries have lots of active volcanoes, and therefore this area is known as the Ring of Fire, because there is always volcanic eruption that is going on, and there are related earthquakes also. So this is the cause of the Ring of Fire. Another area which you can see over here is this. That is the African plate meeting the European plate. Divergent plate boundary. Sorry, they are not meeting, they are divergent. They are moving away from each other. What does this mean? This is the cause of the formation of the Great African Rift, the Rift Valley of Africa. Okay, because they are moving away from each other, so there is a gap in between these plates, and this is a deep gap, and therefore we call it a rift valley. So these are examples. Again, you see here the Mid-Atlantic range, here Mid-Atlantic ridge in the Atlantic Ocean. This is ocean, and these two plates are moving away from each other, and therefore you will find there is a Mid-Atlantic ridge. New material has come up and led to formation of ridges. So this is the movement of the plates. So you can see here each plate moving, movement of all the main plates. We have shown only the main plates over here. Yeah, so these are again the tectonic plates. It looks like a jigsaw puzzle. In your childhood, you must have matched such pieces of jigsaw puzzle. Similarly, we have plates, and there are 7 major plates. Antarctica plate in the south, immediate south, extreme south, sorry, in the South Pole. North American plate, South American plate, Pacific plate, India, Australia, New Zealand plate, African plate, and Eurasian plate. So you have these 7 major plates, and then you have some minor plates. As I told you, there could be even more minor plates. Some books and some authors have given different number of plates. What is important is you understand why some areas are seismically more active. It is because of because they are the meeting points of the plate boundaries. So this is the main gist of the lecture, today's lecture, that is distribution of earthquakes and volcanoes on the Earth's surface, right? You can see here the red ones, they show the convergent plate boundaries. These are the areas where plate boundaries are meeting each other, and therefore you will see that lots of yellow dots are there. What does yellow dots, these yellow circles or yellow dots show? They are the earthquake activities. These are the most important areas where earthquakes are always occurring. So they are very seismically active, and population living here is vulnerable to earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. So you can see here the Ring of Fire near Japan and Australia, northern part of Australia, Indonesia, parts of Malaysia, Philippines, and the Southeast Asian countries. And here you can see Japan. Then here on the left hand side of North America, that is the San Andreas Fault. These are the transform faults. The orange ones are transform faults, means they are running parallel to each other. They are not meeting each other, neither are they running away from each other. So they are transform faults. Again, convergent plate boundaries, you can see Andes mountains, and here you can see the Himalayas and Alps. Okay, so this is the convergent plate boundaries. So where will you find the most volcanoes and earthquakes? You will find them in the convergent plate boundaries, okay, where they will be very active areas, and therefore it is very important for us to know the plate boundaries. We must study them very well. Now, what is the effect of these plate boundaries? You know, most important effect is that if you are staying in the area where there is a meeting of plate boundaries, it will be you will face lots of earthquakes. That is one thing. If you are living in areas on intra-plate boundary, that is intra-plate, that is you are living on one plate, you are not living near the boundary of another plate, then you are comparatively safer. It doesn't mean that intra-plates don't have earthquake. They also have earthquakes. They can face earthquakes. After all, earthquake is energy. But their effect will be less than that of the intra-plate, the interplate boundaries. Okay. So if you are living on a plate, within a plate, you are comparatively safer. than if you are living in somewhere where another plate boundary is coming towards you or is near to your location. So divergent plate boundaries will form rift valleys, and if they are inside the sea, they will form mountain ridge, and oceanic crust is going to be created because, okay, so the mid-ocean ridge in the North Atlantic Ocean running into the South Atlantic Ocean is the longest mountain range. Okay, it's around 1500 kilometers wide, and it runs for 65,000 kilometers. Okay, and in Iceland, one of the most geological active locations on the earth, the divergence of the North American and Eurasian plates, and you can see that there are ridges below the ocean near Iceland also. It is because the North American and the Eurasian plate are moving away from each other in that location. So they are again a divergent plate boundary. At convergent plate boundaries, plates will collide with another. So there will be buckling of one of the edges of one or the both plates. So if they are on the land, they will lead to creation of a fold mountain. Okay, and if they are totally in the ocean, then there will be a trench that will be created. And if there is continental crust and oceanic crust, and then the oceanic crust will go below the continental crust, again a continent, and there will be a mountain which will be created on near the coast. So Andes is an example of that. Convergent plate movement will also create earthquakes, and there will be chain of volcanoes in that area again. So the Himalayas were formed in such a way. Also the Mediterranean island of Cyprus is formed at a convergent boundary of Africa and the Eurasian plates. So these are some of the effects and examples of what happens if you are living at a plate boundary. Transformed faults, so they just move past each other. This is an example of the San Andreas fault in California. Earlier, we thought that transform faults are very simple. They are not as dangerous as the convergent and divergent plate boundaries. But the 1906 earthquake in San Francisco just led to that understanding that no one is safe. So basically, if you live at a plate boundary, it is difficult. The life is difficult over here with respect to earthquakes and volcanoes. So this is all about some sample questions which have been asked in the past or and could also be asked in the future. Is like how are plate tectonics and earthquakes or volcanoes related? So you can be asked on the relationship between plate tectonics and earthquakes and volcanoes, or occurrence of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. They can also ask you to discuss the theory of plate tectonics and how it is an improvement over other tectonic theories, the most famous being the continental drift theory and the seafloor spreading theory. So you can say that the plate tectonics is an improvement because it could explain the movement of continents. It could explain why earthquakes occurred and volcanic eruptions occurred, while the other theories before this couldn't explain some things. They could explain either of these things. This question was asked in 2019, and it is not directly related to what we have discussed, but it's like an application. The Barrel Island volcano is an active volcano located in the Indian territory. Barrel Island lies about 140 kilometers east of Great Nicobar. Last time the Barrel Island volcano erupted was in 1991, and it has remained inactive since then. Which of these statements is correct or are correct? So I would say that only one is correct, because it is an active volcano located in the Indian territory. That's right. It is the only active volcano in India. And it is basically an extension of the part of the Ring of Fire. If you see the map, you will understand that the Ring of Fire has extended to this part over here. So it's actually part of that, and therefore that's true. Second is Barren Island lies about 140 kilometers east of Great Nicobar. I think it's wrong because it's around 600 kilometers from Great Nicobar. Great Nicobar is just away. This is more towards Myanmar, so that's wrong. And Barren Island, and the last time the Barren Island volcano erupted was in 1991, and it has remained inactive since then. So this is right that it last erupted in 1991, but it has not remained inactive. You can see some eruptions from there, and a major eruption just occurred in 2017. So it is not that inactive now. So you can say that second and third are wrong. So it means that only A option is correct, one only. So this was all about our today's lecture. If you like it, please subscribe and share your comments. So in the next lecture, let's see what is there. Thank you for your patience. Thank you so much.